What if I told you that your choice to live a simulated life or not may depend less on the importance of what's real than it does on the world you think you're in now? The world where you go to work, where you go to church, where you pay your taxes. Or not, I guess. What if I told you that you cannot truly choose reality or simulation until you confront the biases of the very same brain that is keeping you here now? Welcome to the facility.
Simulation complete. Pulling you out now.
Whew, there was entirely too much leather in there. When the first Matrix film came out in 1999, it immediately made two things quite popular. The first being cringy pictures of you dressed up like the characters, and the second being an old philosophical argument about the nature and substance of reality, your relation and your perception of it. This line of reasoning comes from old existentialist thought experiments, going all the way back to René Descartes' evil demon thought experiment and Gilbert Harman's brain in a vat experiment. But the Matrix's unique take on this old philosophical hot take didn't really take shape until technology did and became mainstream. And so in 1999, the idea that you were living in a simulation was just believable enough that it made for a nearly perfect genre-defining sci-fi film where everyone who watched it immediately started dressing like this and, well, you know what happened. In fact, I bet that today it's even more believable for you that you're living in a simulation, and so you've probably asked yourself the main question that Neo gets asked. If you knew you were living in a simulation, would you unplug? Well, I asked tens of thousands of you, and apparently most of you would. And I think modern philosophers would chalk that response up to valuing realness and true reality more than anything potentially simulated. But that valuing is what I want to challenge you on today. Oh, and for the record, only Morpheus and not Morpheus made this look anywhere near acceptable. You did not. Almost 50 years ago, David Byrne impersonator, eyebrow enthusiast, and I guess also world-famous philosopher David Nozick used simulated reality to attempt a now famous refutation of so-called ethical hedonism. Hedonism being the belief that what is good is what is most pleasurable, and so in your day-to-day life, in your ethics, you should always seek the most pleasurable option. Now, Nozick tried to dismiss this ethic by posing the following thought experiment and creating the experience machine.
Suppose there were an experience machine that would give you any experience you desired. Super-duper neuropsychologists could stimulate your brain so that you would think and feel you were writing a great novel, or making a friend, or reading an interesting book.
Boring.
All the time you would be floating in a tank with electrodes attached to your brain. Should you plug into this machine for life, programming your life's experience? What else can matter to us other than how our lives feel from the inside? What's a few moments of distress compared to a lifetime of bliss?
Sounds pretty familiar, doesn't it? Well, that's because this thought experiment has now been taught for decades to fields upon fields of undergraduate philosophy students in their GooTubes. And it's so popular because it apparently proves Nozick's point, that hedonism has to be false. Since most people wouldn't plug into his experience machine, he says, without evidence, it must be said, then there has to be more to life than just pleasure. The average person wants meaning and purpose. They want to be a certain kind of person. They don't want a digital fraud where they are just, I don't know, sitting in a pool all day watching hot tub streamers while eating Cheetos, So the characters in the Matrix also prove Nozick's point. Neo, Trinity, Soul Patch Potato, they don't want to live a digital fraud. Elrond here also kind of proves this point when he says that humans inside the Matrix initially rejected it because it was too perfect. They preferred something that felt more real with some degree of suffering. The average person wants to have some contact with reality. That was Nozick's conclusion. But it's this conclusion that I want to challenge today, and that many philosophers have challenged Nozick on. Do you actually care about reality? And speaking of challenge, I mean, if you're gonna make a Matrix movie, where's the choreographer? Just doing a push thing and the dialogue at the beginning.
Today's video is sponsored by Bespoke Post.
Nature. Oh, hello. Excuse the interruption, but I'm award-winning science educator and avid endorseman Kyle Hill. I just wanted to take a quick moment to tell you about my favorite monthly delivery that enables me to enjoy nature when I occasionally decide to walk among you. And that's, of course, Bespoke Post. Ho, ho, ho. That's why I come out here.
Bespoke Post is a monthly membership club delivering awesome boxes of top-shelf goods from under-the-radar brands. Every box has around $70 in retail value, but only costs $45. You can preview your assigned box before it's shipped to you each month so that you're never disappointed in what you get. You can decide to keep your box, swap it for a different one, or skip the month entirely for no charge. You only pay for what you want.
And you know I'm a science guy, so two products I've particularly enjoyed are the activated charcoal scrub in the Terra box. Activated charcoal and carbon, as you know, has some of the highest surface area of any material, up to 2,000 square meters per gram, which allows you to clean your meat suit down to the molecular level. Incredible. I've also enjoyed the Fire Stick from the Switchback box, which has a rod containing pyrophoric alloy that if I scrape it off, some of that alloy flies into the air, reacts spontaneously with the oxygen when the surface area is sufficiently small, and spontaneously ignites. It's what keeps me from freezing to death in the middle of the wilderness. That's right, my little friend. I did almost set my hair on fire. What's that? Oh no, you can't say that. I don't want to get canceled.
But if all this outdoorsy stuff that I enjoy isn't your thing, Bespoke Post also offers clothing, home and kitchen goods, music and tech gear, and so much more. If you want to join me and get 20% off your first box, click the link in the description and enter KyleHill20 at checkout, or go to bspk.me/KyleHill20. Now, back to the program. Nature!
Hey you, you're finally awake. Sorry, I couldn't resist doing. Look, this is gonna come as kind of a shock, but the year is actually 2659. You've been sitting in a simulated life for the last 40 years. We here at the facility like to check on our clients. We like to make sure every 10 years or so that your simulation is up to your own chosen specifications, and then we ask if you'd like to continue. So I have to tell you that the last 3 times we've interrupted your simulation, you've been fine with everything, and you've decided to plug back into our experience machine. Of course, if you so choose, you can end the program at any time. If you go back in, you have your friends, family, pick up exactly where you left off, you have no recollection of this, or you could just stop. So, would you like to plug back in and resume life as you knew it? It's okay, take your time. We can talk about some other stuff first. And what's that? A new Matrix film. No, sorry, that was just in your simulation. Like, who would that be for? I don't want that.
Like, who would that be for?
I know, that's what I said. Ari and I wanted to unplug you from your simulation because we wanted to present you with what psychologists call a reversal test of the original experience machine thought experiment. It's a reversal because it changes where you believe you're starting from, what your status quo is. Tell me, does it feel inherently different to start from a place of reality and choose to plug into an experience machine versus just continuing to use one that you've already been using your entire life? If it does feel different to you, that's what the reversal test is trying to tease out. Is there some bias here? Well, thankfully, unlike Nozick's original thought experiment, we have some data on how people decide this difference.
In a 2010 paper, philosopher Philippe de Brigard asked study participants whether or not they would like to disconnect from an experience machine, as though they were told by Morpheus they were inside of the Matrix. But before they chose, they were either told nothing about their life outside of the machine, told they were actually inmates in a maximum security prison outside of the machine, or were told they were multi-millionaire artists living in Monaco outside of the machine. Maybe not surprisingly, only 13% of those that were told they were actually inmates wanted to unplug from the experience machine. What is maybe surprising is that slightly more than half of the people who were told nothing about their lives wanted to unplug, and less than that would unplug and live life as a millionaire in one of the world's wealthiest countries. The data here seems to say that your knowledge of what your real life actually is affects your choice more than you might think. But maybe more importantly, these results suggest that even if you knew your real life was arguably much better than your simulated one, the percentages don't swing to the other extreme. Half of respondents still stayed plugged in.
If you're now a bit morally confused, that's okay. It's because what I'm trying to get at today is what psychologists call the status quo bias. As has now been proven across decades of research in many different fields, humans don't like change. Humans prefer their current circumstances, simulated or not, even if other circumstances are arguably better. And this bias might change your answer to a question like the Matrix. This is a complicated cognitive intersection of biases where humans don't like to lose stuff. Humans don't like to feel regret. Humans prefer the tangible, touchy-touchy. Humans would rather keep something that they have than not have it and just get it later. In 1974, Nozick used his experience machine thought experiment to say that most people prefer reality no matter what. But did you, maybe, in the poll, just have a status quo bias? You didn't want to change. Because when I gave tens of thousands of you the reversal test, most of you would plug into the Matrix like Soul Patch Potato Cypher, especially knowing what life outside the Matrix was like. This doesn't fit with Nozick's original idea at all. Do you care about reality? It is the contention of philosophers like Philippe Brigard that your basic intuition about not wanting to use an experience machine like the Matrix is a false intuition. It's a status quo bias. You don't want to use something that is potentially better for your overall experience because you prefer the way it is. That's why you can feel that during our reversal test, and why, admit it, you kind of get why Cypher betrayed Morpheus. He found out that the real world is a hellscape of killer squid robots and shaved heads and questionable CGI. Arguably the only thing good about not being in the dream world is that it's not the dream world anymore. And that's it. Is that enough? Do you really prefer reality above all else? Or, when given the option, would you actually tell Morpheus to shove one of those pills where the sun don't shine?
Where does the sun not shine?
We'll talk about it when you're older. Prepare the simulation. Oh, and give them a memory that I can totally pull this off. I know Kung Fu, by the way.
Ask yourself, is reality, realness, so intrinsically good? Is a real life actually preferable to you if the basic quality of it can immediately change whether or not you use an experience machine? Do you actually care about reality? After all, what else can matter to us other than how our lives feel from the inside? That's something that could be simulated, couldn't it? Can't ignorance be bliss? Until our next interruption.
Now exiting the facility.
Thank you so much to the very nerdy staff at the facility for their direct and substantial support in the creation of this here video. Today especially, I want to recognize Research Assistant Marcelo Sasso and Visiting Scholar Sanders VK. If you want to join the facility, if you want to drape on a silky white lab coat, it's not like the Matrix, I promise, and get behind the scenes photos and videos, extended interviews, join the Discord where you can talk with me every day, see members only live streams once a month, go to patreon.com/Kyle Hill and join the facility today. And if you support us just enough, you get your name on every single episode on Aria here. Don't worry, she doesn't mind. And there's hundreds and hundreds of you. I have no idea how I'm gonna pass the time. Like I get that they were trying to be meta, but if you don't attempt to do some of the same thing, like it looked like it was shot on like my iPhone, a couple of those things. And if you're not gonna have the choreography, then you want to have something that's similar to bullet time and its innovation. If you're gonna make a brand new, Thanks for watching.